Okay, thank you everyone, and welcome to our Sunday edition of Open Topic Talk. I'm your host, James P. Madonna, and I'm here with my co-host, the one and only, the Commodore Jeff Sambello. Let me pipe him aboard our pirate ship of holistic health, fitness, sports, and dating and relationship truth. Arr! All right. How was your past week in terms of physical fitness, Commodore? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry.
There you go.
There you go. All right.
Statagito. You muted me. Statagito.
Well, that's
Despierta.
the team song. The theme song
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
be heard.
The Barry White making love music.
Well, yeah, I change off. You know, you never know. Sometimes you have someone in the office, and and they talk to you, and especially females have a tendency to talk to men while they're doing something important that's being recorded.
Yeah, important like getting you hitched up so they don't have to work anymore. But the goddamn young lady that just married a 93-year-old Rupert Murdoch. Can you believe that? Sucking on a 93-year-old dick and smelling his adult diapers?
You got
What the fuck is that? And they make out? How do they make out? Like, how when they were dating, do they like spend hours and hours kissing and a 93-year-old man? What are you, sick?
I mean, a woman.
Did you have pride?
A woman who is not a professional prostitute, who does that, a gold digger, is I used to say glorified prostitute. No, the term is legal prostitute.
That's legal matrimony by the state of California.
Yes, they are prostitutes.
Half.
Because they do prostitute themselves, the gold diggers. And, I mean, you got to really be hardcore whore to go to bed.
The media empire.
To go to bed with a shriveled up, a prune, old geezer that probably needs Depends diapers on.
Oh, for sure. Every 93-year-old would need that.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Listen. It's a whore. A whore is a whore is a whore is a whore. That's it. They're gold diggers, and they are whores, and that's why they do what they do.
But he couldn't at least get like even an 80-year-old lady to marry? I mean,
well, I
guess he didn't want to smell an 80-year-old's adult diapers then.
Listen, when Rupert Murdoch was more actively involved in the managing of Fox News, he handpicked and hired a bevy of beauties with buxomy beauties with big breasts, and he tried to partake in them off the air, and they screamed sexual harassment because they had some dignity. I guess they didn't care.
Oh yeah, Roger Ailes.
Roger Ailes, Roger Ailes.
Big fatso, and he's a fat motherfucker too.
The fat, yeah, like what the hell's his name?
Fatty Arbuckle.
Like Harvey Weinstein. In Hollywood, Mr. Casting Couch. Meanwhile, he's a fat, ugly,
Mr. Pock-faced casting couch.
Well, he's a fat, ugly Jew, basically. Yep. And he propositioned the girls and says, you want success in show business? There's no business like show business. Well,
No business like show business like.
Anyway,
Oh God!
you see how you line them up for me? You line them up for me. You know, hey, we have fun here, but we do tell the truth. But anyway, what was I
That's what this show is all about: is telling the truth and exposing
telling the truth?
and naming names.
And there's nothing wrong with adding levity to the seriousness. I mean, there's nothing. You know, it's like the Joker from Batman. You know, he laughs and he jokes around, but he's very serious at the same time. You know, but that's another story.
She'll be like, "Don't make fun of my husband." But she's holding his hand, going to different events.
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
You know what? It's sickening. They are
Going out with your grandfather.
and the good-looking female celebrities and entertainers who go to the Oscars wearing, they look like they're in their underwear, for God's sakes, and that's supposed to be a fashion designer's masterpiece. Meanwhile, they're practically in their underwear, and then if you say,
look at me, I'm irrelevant, but look at me.
This is funny. The women know what they look like before they go out in public. They spend God knows how many hours doing their hair and their makeup and their cosmetics, and buying these risque hoochie clothes. You know, they dress like a prostitute.
And then taping their nipples to the material so it doesn't come apart.
Right.
Yeah, they put this little tape.
But then when they go out,
double-sided tape.
When they go out in public, if men ogle them and stare at them and approach them, try to make a date or hit, cat calls or then they go get pissed off and offended. Well, why the hell are you dressed like that? Why are you dressed like that? And then the boyfriends, the jealous, insecure boyfriends that go out with their girlfriend dressed as a whore, then they get pissed if guys are looking at their girlfriend. Well, don't approve of your girlfriend dressed like a hoochie. The same thing goes for these modern day single mothers that let their daughters go to school dressed like a whore. Well, if your daughter goes to school dressed like a whore, she's going to get negative attention.
Yep.
That's a given. That's a guarantee. But
yep.
I just want to say, I want to give a 7-bell salute to Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees.
Yay!
He has finally come to life, and he is back to normal with his long ball hitting performance, and he currently leads the major leagues in home runs, and he is just hitting them left and right. And I think I heard that when that jerk off umpire ejected him from the game, it pissed him off. So now he's hitting with a vengeance.
Yep. And
but the Yankees are finally learning their lesson about hiring, about giving long contracts to veterans or to acquiring veteran players. I hate to say it, and the article says it. People like Anthony Rizzo, they're getting old.
Yeah, they're going to be trading him. I think by June 30th deadline.
Yeah, and then there's
thank God.
DJ LeMahieu. He's old.
Get the fuck rid of him.
He's old. The other guy, who's considered a veteran, Gleyber Torres. second
Oh,
base.
get rid of him.
Get rid of them. They got dynamos over in AAA and AA that could easily replace these
I
old
know. Gleyber Torres sucks.
these veterans are washed up. They may have old man Steinbrenner. He was hard to. He was rough around the edges, but he would tell them, well, okay, that's what you did in the past. What have you done for me lately?
I love it.
And he says, you guys get paid a lot of money to play on this team. I pay you guys a fortune to play on this team, and it's not unreasonable for old man Steinbrenner to expect optimal performance.
Exactly.
If you work for a corporation and you're I don't know, you're a director of I don't know, let's say research and development, and you have
chief financial officer.
and you have a team of engineers under you, and you expect you expect those engineers under you to produce.
That's right.
Something. If you don't produce, then why am I paying you 200 grand a year or whatever,
I know.
or 300 grand a year? Well, why am I paying you this? It produce. And
I'm working just to go to lunch.
yeah, and and I just want to say, blood-sucking vampires like Scott Boras or Boris, the Beverly Hills baseball agent.
Oh yeah, Juan Soto.
That wants $550 million
Wow.
to start. He wants to start the bidding at $550 million. And the thing is, look, Juan Soto
Hi, mommy.
is worth his weight in platinum and
Where's Michael, honey? Get him over here. I'm on a live show. Come on, Michael.
Anyway, he's worth his weight in platinum and gold. Nothing against Juan Soto, but the bloodsucker Scott Boras, he has a real douchebag looking face too. He looks like
I know.
Yeah, he looks like the type that would try to bleed the owners dry. And this is the reason. This is the reason why the tickets are so expensive. Like families can't bring, fathers can't bring their wife and kids to the ball game anymore. It's too expensive. Hey, the evangelist Mikey Zambello, the evangelist,
the usher of the church.
Oh, yeah.
Usher, the House of Usher with Vincent Price. Remember that movie, the horror movie, The House of Usher? But he's the evangelist. He's the evangelist of the Maritime Provinces. The pastor, Mike Zambello. Hey,
Beautiful.
Mikey.
Move in. Move in.
There you go. Mikey Zambello,
Oh, yes.
you got church today?
Oh, yes.
Not yet.
He works at the church.
Oh, are you gonna House of Usher? Are you gonna wear the powder blue suit like a TV evangelist?
He does. He's got a powder blue suit jacket.
Like Jimmy Swaggart.
Who's the one that's married to Tammy Faye?
I have seen.
I have sinned.
I have lust in my heart.
Jim Baker.
Oh, Tammy.
Remember Jim Baker? He wore the powder blue suit.
Yeah, Tammy Faye had the long fake eyelashes, like this.
And then Kenneth Copeland has all those airplanes, the Gulfstream airplanes.
Yeah, he cannot take a public airline because there's too many demons on the public airline, he said.
Yeah,
Too many demons. No, he wants to use the parishioners' donations to buy private jets.
exactly.
Yeah, he's too many demons. Hey, you might as well say the demons are everywhere, not just in the cabin of an airline. They're everywhere. That's just a feeble, dumb excuse. You
It
know,
really is.
I mean, to spend.
Shame on him.
When have these evangelists ever donated money to feed the homeless, or to soup kitchens, or to help the poor like a man of God is supposed to do?
I know.
A man of God is supposed to do. Oh, Gunner says, "Hey, brah, where are the alcoholics?" They were on Saturday's show towards the end of the show. Towards the end. I love sloppy blowjobs.
Ah,
Sloppy blowjob.
don't we all?
Yes. Does a sloppy blowjob include a woman who allows you to come in her mouth and dribbles the marshmallow fluff or the jism out of her mouth? Is that a sloppy blowjob? Fluffer. I call that a fluffer nutter. Marshmallow fluff and lots of peanut butter. It was an old commercial when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's a fluffernutter. But do you know what a nutcracker is?
But
It's what Dr. Kashi got all the way from JFK, Southern Connecticut. But we won't go there.
the stick shift, and
Yeah,
he was wearing the genie
his
pants.
nuts cracked whenever they went over a speed bump.
He was wearing the genie pants, the real baggy pants but no underwear, and a certain someone was doing the stick shift.
Shifter in the automatic transmission car. But we got blocked. We got blocked from Facebook.
Yes. and then her gentleman caller, the
Illustrious.
Sir Lancelot
Yeah.
Paul got all upset and saying that we are intoxicated,
Yeah.
and that's why we said all those things about.
Yeah, he doesn't even let his own employees get a free drink after they work 8 to 12 hours.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't allow the employees of his restaurant to partake in anything. He is such a greedy, stingy. Yeah.
We'll leave it there. Yeah.
Leave it there. Yeah. I mean, I have a high. Gunner says I have a high sperm count. She chews before she swallows.
That's funny.
So your scum guppies are like really healthy, and you got to be careful, because if you shoot bullets when you come, you don't want to knock anybody up these days, because
Nope.
what you got to do is have one child, and that woman will take you to the poorhouse. She'll bend you over a pickle barrel and give you the pickle.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I know guys that have learned the hard way. All you need is one kid, and you know what? And they don't like to get abortions anymore. They have the baby because they know that the baby is like the gravy train.
Yeah.
For these women.
Anchor babies.
Well, an anchor baby is an immigrant woman who gets knocked up and gives birth in the United States. Thus, the anchor. Circumsalot. What about this name? Dr. Kamalata. How you like that? Dr. Kamalata. Circumsalot. But anyway, listen, women are very devious, and they get together and they have their powwow. The girls have their powwows, and they talk about all the ways they could bamboozle men. And the reason why they bamboozle men is because the man is a sucker for a pretty face, You know, they'll never get away with that shit with a alpha or a sigma male, or could be a combination alpha and sigma. They'll never get away with that because, first of all, alpha and sigma men do not seek validation and approval of women. They do not seek validation, and they do not give. Most importantly, they do not give validation, because once you give validation, then you're giving her power and control. Oh, he wants me. This guy has the hots for me, or this guy loves me. So I'm going to use that against him. And that's what happens. They use it against the poor sucker who becomes a beta simp. And Gunner knows, you know, these are the beta simps. And like my poor brother, he got bamboozled because he had a couple kids. Now, one of his daughters is still, you know, a teenager. She's not 18 yet. His other daughter is like in her early 20s. God, I remember when she was like 1 year old, the girl that's in her 20s. But anyway, yeah, he's self-employed. He owns a very successful auto body shop in the Jersey, at the Jersey Shore, and she hung on to him. As soon as she found out he bought an auto body shop, she immediately moved in with him and nagged him to marry her, and got knocked up, and that was the end of my brother Scott. That was the end. That was the end. Oh boy, God. And he wouldn't take advice from me, because then he would say I'm negative and I'm interfering. Like me and my mother try to talk sense into him, and his mother, our mother, try to talk sense into him, and he won't listen. Oh, you're negative. You're being negative. You're interfering in my relationship. Ooh, my relationship. Yeah, right. Yeah, we had his best interest at heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Usually, people don't listen until they hit rock bottom. You know,
Yeah.
it's like an alcoholic or a drug addict won't listen to you, and even if you have an intervention, they have to hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
In order to seriously look at themselves and say, I have a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for me to fix it and straighten my ass out, because otherwise I'm just my life is destroyed. And then they accept it. But they have to hit rock bottom. Unfortunately. Yeah, because they won't listen to advice because of ego.
Yeah.
Ego. It's like when I worked for Independent Circuit Pro Wrestling, the promoter, he was egomaniac. He was arrogant. He won't take it. He won't take suggestions or advice from anybody. He won't. The only thing he'll do is what comes out of his own brain. Like, he won't take any suggestions, and be open-minded. He wasn't open-minded because he was so full of himself with ego. So here's a lesson, guys. Ego can hinder you. Well,
Juan Soto homer to center field. The Yankees are ahead 1-0.
oh wow.
The top of the second.
I think Aaron Judge is like an inspiration for guys like Juan Soto.
Yep.
They
And Giancarlo Stanton.
Well, Giancarlo Stanton. Do you know that jackass Brian Cashman signed? You know what kind of a long contract he signed with Giancarlo Stanton? Till 2028. You believe that? Who in their right mind would several years ago? Now, several years ago, I think they took on Giancarlo Stanton. Who in their right mind would sign a player to a long-term contract that ends 2028?
Wow.
Is something wrong with that motherfucker?
But we're getting such a deal. Such a deal.
Why? What? Just because he hit 59 home runs for the Miami Marlins for 1 year? What if he's a one-hit wonder?
Yeah.
You know, that's like a popular music, like back in the day when you had a lot of popular music bands, and they have a hit, they make a hit single,
Yep.
and they're at the top of the charts, and
The rest of the album's just B-sided.
you don't want to let a long-term contract with people like that. You want consistency. Same thing with the baseball players. What has he done consistently that you're going to sign him to a long-term contract?
Wow.
You know, at least Juan Soto is very consistent in his performance year after year. You know, and he's young too. So I mean,
There's no business like show business. There's no business I know.
I have a casting couch. I would like you to lie down. If you want to further your acting career, if you want gigs,
Put your mouth right here.
put your mouth right here.
Goodness gracious.
Uh,
It's the truth though. That's why it's so funny, because it's 100% truthful.
I remember back in the 70s, I watched this porno movie called Candy Goes to Hollywood. It was Candy Samples, which was
Yeah.
a young blonde-haired female with very big breasts. So
Mhm.
Candy Samples, it was called Candy Goes to Hollywood. So
Yeah.
Candy goes on an audition.
Yeah.
And the guy, casting director or whatever, says, okay, I want you to hum. You don't have to sing it. I just want you to
A
hum.
hem and a hum and a hem and a hum.
You to hum a song, and he drops his drawers and sticks his dick in her mouth and says, hum the entire song. And what that did was it caused a pleasurable vibration to the casting director. And I thought that was real funny. I thought that was real funny.
Penetrating decibels.
Yeah, he was she was humming the song.
Hum and a hum and a hum and a hum.
Hum and a hum and a hum. Hum and a hum and a hum and a hum. But anyway,
Don't walk away, Renee. Da, da.
was that the Righteous Brothers or Gary Puckett or no? That was
Don't
neither.
walk away, Renee.
60s.
Yeah, I gotta. Oh, I forget.
All right. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the pipe if the answer is no. And something about meeting her in the hallway. Oh man, my eyes are. The pollen count must be.
Oh, it's the Four Tops.
Oh really?
Yeah,
That was the 4 Tops. Really?
yeah.
It doesn't sound Motown.
Don't walk away, Renee.
Wow, how about that?
No, for the band Left Bank, released as a single in 1966. Steve Moncaro spent 13 weeks. It's had a bunch of people, but it's the Four Tops.
Yeah,
The one that we know is the Four Tops.
I like Gary Puckett in the Union.
Oh, I love Gary Puckett and Union Gap.
Yeah, that was Young Girl, Get Out of My Mind. You're way too. You're. Wait a minute. Young Girl, Get Out of My Mind. You're way too young. Wait, it's way out of something. Is way out of line. Go get along, girl. You're much too young, girl. Young girl, get out of my mind. You're much too young.
My love for you is way out of line. Better go.
Yeah.
Better run, girl. You're much too young, girl.
Something about your mama.
Didn't anybody ever tell you the facts of life? Da, 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 da.
The birds and the bees, flowers and the trees. I would like to explain to you about the birds and the bees.
And the flowers and the trees. And that's actually a song.
Yeah, I know.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees. That's a one-hit wonder song. That's a one-hit wonder song.
Yeah, I hope these people saved their money to have one-hit wonders. But anyway,
Nod, nod, wink, wink.
not wink. I just want to say that Yason Dominguez and Spencer Jones are doing wonderfully, and they are. And Jarrett Cole is almost ready to start pitching. The Cy Young Award winning pitcher is ready to come back to the Yankees after injury. I had no idea that the young Spencer Jones had Tommy John surgery also.
Wow.
Something about these baseball players where they have I think Tommy John surgery is a tear or detachment in the elbow tendon.
Yeah.
Which is the tendon connects the muscle to the joint, where the ligament connects the joint to the joint. Like the ligaments support the stability of the joint itself, and the tendons are the attachment point of the muscle to the joint. Like
yeah, you're right. The ligament goes from the muscle to the bone, and the ligaments go joint to joint.
Oh,
joint to the bone.
Something. Let's put it this way: we need them all.
Yeah.
We need.
Don't walk away, Renee.
So how is the training? How is the training going for you this past week?
Good. I already said that. Yeah. I just got to do it in the morning, real early. 5:30 in the morning. Very, very busy these days.
Yeah, I know.
Very, very busy.
You mean like the afternoon workouts are just haven't been happening lately?
No. So I had to make up for it in the morning.
How many more years until you retire with the Canadian government?
Not the Canadian government, my company.
Pension.
Yeah, I get stuck at 60, but I'm gonna wait till 65 because I get more money.
Well, of course you have more money, but you gotta see how you feel. See how you feel when you hit 60, 61, 62. Play it by ear. Play it by ear. Much. Yeah, play it by ear. Good. Everything, the workouts have been good. Now, did you go to the Turkish Big Bite today?
Nope. I went to a Lebanese restaurant called it's Lebanese and Greek.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
It's called Mother Nature's, and then on the other side is a place I go to. It's called Vivaldi's, and I go there during the week. And it's a sit down. It's a rather expensive restaurant, and
yeah,
I do.
Vivaldi is. I love the classical music by Vivaldi.
Oh fuck! It's 1-1. Friggin'
Vivaldi,
Giants.
Vivaldi Four Seasons is called. Great music. Oh well. I guess afterwards I could put the Yes channel on and watch it. Yeah. Lebanese are Lebanon is where the kibbeh comes from.
Yeah, the Kibbe.
Kibbe.
Yeah.
Kibbeh. I believe kibbe.
So, yep.
It is a wonderful tasting meatball, Middle Eastern meatball.
Yep.
Kibbe is
Don't walk away, Renee.
I highly recommend that everyone partake in the kibbe. Let me see.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees
gonna
and
play-
the flowers and the trees.
I'm gonna play some fantastic relationship dating. I mean, you know what we were talking about before about men getting bamboozled.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play, and then I'll do the nutrition. Afterwards. Let's see. So let me tell you about the birds and the bees and. Oh, shut up.
Don't
Oh,
walk
Buffett.
away, Renee.
Bafangul, as we say in Italian. Bafanguli.
Affangulo.
The North End, Boston's North End. I had the fettuccine alfredo there, and it was very tasty.
Yes.
Yes, it was very tasty. Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees.
So there is this TikTok trend of women walking around on the street holding up signs saying, "I'm looking for a husband." And as you can
Oh
see,
my
it draws
God.
a lot of attention. These videos get millions of views. I guess because it's something of a novelty to see a woman publicly admitting that once women don't need a man, they're fine on their own. It's good.
The best. Looking for a rich husband. What the fuck?
What does this woman bring to the table for a rich man?
Nothing that I could see.
Look, they're laughing.
Horse face. She's very, very skinny. Oh my God. She's got a boy's ass. Look at the size of her hips. They're more narrower than a brook trout. Those aren't childbearing hips.
That is not an attractive woman
No.
to be.
Is that something you want to wake up to every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Not if I was rich. I would.
No.
But this guy is great. This Australian guy makes a lot of sense.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees. Don't walk away, Renee. I can't hear him, James.
What's that?
I can't hear him. I
Yeah,
cannot
no.
hear him.
I'll turn him up. Hold on.
Do you have him muted? No. I can't hear him. I can't hear her.
Oh, you mean it to you? It's muted
It's crazy.
because
What the hell's going on around here?
Oh, wait a minute. It's playing on the show, but you're unable to hear the video.
Yeah, I can see the video.
Oh, isn't that weird? Because I'll have to play it later then, because it was it was playing on the show, but you couldn't. Wait a minute.
I can hear you clear as a bell, but nothing
let
from
me
him.
uh
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees.
let me check the audio. All right, audio's okay. Video is okay. Huh. Weird.
Humana, 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 humana.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
That is
I'm
weird.
looking for a rich husband. For what? Go to school and learn something. Go to fucking work. You
What? But in order to be nitpicky and demanding, the girl has to bring something to the table.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, she was average looking, and she had
Less than average. Less than average.
she had no curves. She had like she was like
Zero.
she had a flat ass. She had no hips.
No tits.
No, nothing.
No.
Nothing.
At least give me a nice big set of tits.
She
For goodness sakes.
not pretty, and she wasn't even cute. She was actually funny. She was actually funny.
She looked like Janis Joplin, for Christ's sakes, with those dark sunglasses.
And she's making a public announcement out loud that she's looking for a rich husband.
Yeah, a rich husband.
Now hear this, everyone on the airline cabin. My name is so and so, and I'm looking for a rich husband.
Yeah. Fuck off.
You know what? Delusional.
Yeah, go home and wash your boyfriend's underwear or something, for Christ's
Yeah,
sake.
you know how many delusional people are out there today? It's incredible. It's incredible.
6.
But anyway, I'm glad you had a good lunch, and I can imagine how busy you and Mikey have been at home. You know, well, Mikey does what he can,
Yeah,
but he looks like he put on weight. Is he getting heavy?
a little.
Mikey?
Yeah, a little chunky. Don't walk away, Renee.
Yeah. Well, he could do.
He goes to the gym every day. He only rides the bike though.
He
And then he goes bowling for Special Olympics on Monday nights.
he don't do strength training anymore.
No, he doesn't like it. And then I'm going to be the bocce coach in a couple of weeks. I did it last year for Special Olympics, and it starts in 2 weeks.
Bocce ball.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like bocce ball reminds me of horseshoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You throw a small ball. Somebody throws a little ball.
It's called the beanie or the peenie or something like that.
Yeah, and then you try to get as close to that little ball as possible, and
Without going over the line.
without
It's going
going
to be within a certain range.
as okay. Now the ball, the large balls come in 2 different colors, right?
Yes, red and green.
Oh, like the Italian flag almost.
Thank you.
Oh, there you
And
go.
the little beanie ball is white.
The Italian flag. Like I said,
Italian flag.
the colors. Hold on.
Da, 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 hey, 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 Mamma mia, mamma mia,
Anyway, I digress. Yeah. So if the red team gets more red balls closer to the little white ball, then
Exactly.
it's each ball is a point. Is that
It
how?
depends. Hold on. So, if they get 2 red balls closer than the green, they get 2 points. If they only get 1 ball closer than the green, it's 1 point. Even if the green team has like 4 other balls closer than the other 3 red balls. Yes.
Well, does the green
So
team?
you can get up to 4 points if there's 4 balls per round, per length. And then you go down the other side and you throw them the other way. But there's 4 tosses, and so if the 4 balls of the red team get closer to the white ball than any one of the green, you get 4 points. Do you understand? So every ball that you beat, you get a point.
Right. So the point is not scored unless you beat another ball of the opposite team.
Right. But once that other team, one of their balls gets closer than your other ones, then that's the limit of your points.
Yeah, that's like one ball. It gets if the red ball gets closer than, let's say, 3 other green balls,
Right.
then that's 1 point for the red team,
Right.
and the green team doesn't score any points.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. So
Mamma mia, papa mia, la, 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 la.
now the trick. There's a trick in bocce. I'm assuming. Correct me.
Yeah,
if
the
I'm
way you
wrong.
throw it like this, you lob it like this, or you undo it, underhand roll.
Okay.
There's
What
2
I'm-
ways you can toss it.
What I'm saying is, if the opposing team has a ball that comes, let's say 12 inches away from the little
I know where you're going.
ball,
Yep.
and
yep.
you knock it,
Right.
your ball knocks that ball out of the way, and your ball takes the place.
Right.
That's you just knock their point out,
You're damn right. That's bocce.
and you score. It's actually a fascinating game.
It's a very fun game. It goes by very fast.
and there's like long pieces of wood that they hammer to form like a long rectangle, right?
Yeah, we use
Bocce.
white rope, and we tie it down, and then we can pick it up off the grass. But yeah, like you'll see like sand, like in neighborhoods, you'll see like yeah, you're right. The wood permanent bocce court. It's called a bocce court.
Bocce
We don't
courts.
have bocce courts up here. We use a baseball field, and then we just on the grass. We just take you know, you can buy these at the store. It's roll up cord or whatever on
Yeah.
each side.
Well, it is possible for someone who's handy with hammering
Yeah, but
wood.
you got to own the land. If
Yeah,
it's on
you
city
can't-
property, you can't just do that.
no, you got to get a permit to do that.
No, we gotta get a permit anyway, just to be there at that time, because there's other events in the town.
Okay. Well,
And-
if there was a bocce court, it would be first come, first served.
Yeah, except the problem is I wouldn't have a bocce court up here because there'd be dog shit or cat, like a cat litter or cat shit in it, or cigarette butts or something. People or beer cans. You know what I mean? Like people don't respect that.
So
You really want a bocce court on your own private land so nobody has a dog shit in it?
So you mean to tell me in the maritime provinces,
Very disrespectful, very low mentality.
people will throw empty beer cans on the ground and cigarette butts, and
Oh, definitely cigarette butts. Yeah.
it reminds me when I used to go to Salem. I used to go, when I used to go to Salem, Massachusetts every Halloween. They dread Halloween because the tourists trash the whole town of Salem. They trash it.
Yeah.
And they throw empty beer and soda cans and soda bottles and
Cigarette butts.
Talk about disrespectful. They throw it in
Oh,
this.
coffee cups, napkins.
Listen to where they have the nerve to throw it, into Salem Cemetery
Woo!
on the grave sites. They you see all trash.
Wow.
I mean, no respect for the
No
dead.
respect for the dead.
They can't walk over to a public trash can and dispose of it. You know,
Too fucking lazy, James. Too
and-
lazy.
and the town says it cost a fortune to clean up Salem.
Yep. Well, it's like the Boston Marathon. It's the same fucking thing with the people watching the marathon on the side.
They do the same shit there.
Oh my God! And then they get the state, was it Department of Public Works, DPW, Department of Public Works out there.
Right.
Oh, working all night, sweeping and taking trash barrels, trash bags.
Because the lazy motherfuckers don't want to
Oh,
walk over to a
it's probably the same thing with the New York Marathon.
I'm sure. Yeah, I know there's a park. There's the Boston Commons. Is that like a park?
Yeah, it's the training ground for the Revolutionary War.
Okay, when you want to
Mamma mia, Papa Pia.
the Boston Tea Party. Do no taxation without representation.
That's where I trained for my ROTC.
Oh,
That's where I had my ROTC training every day. University is right up there. Yep.
well, you know, George Washington had he had spies. There was espionage back then.
Yep. And he had
And,
Rangers too. He had Rangers as well.
and-
Rogers Rangers.
The Now, I want to salute a military man by the last name of Pulaski from Poland,
Oh, wow.
and he actually single-handedly created the first American cavalry
Oh, yeah.
because
The Poles were very good military horsemen.
that's what he did in the war between Poland and Russia.
Yep.
And then he came over and offered his help to General Washington. At first, General Washington said
Prussia.
uh,
So Poland and Russia was Prussia.
Russia, like he didn't have,
King of Prussia.
he had to get approval from the Congress of the Continental Army Congress, and he had to get approval for Pulaski to train the troops on how to be cavalrymen. But it got so desperate because the British were like winning, so
Yeah.
he finally let him do it, and it worked wonders. It really did. It was like it was a great, a tremendous asset
Yep.
and help to the Continental Army to have a cavalry. And the British didn't know how to deal with it because they had a stupid way of fighting. They used to march out in the open field. They used to like march,
I know.
right.
Just like in freaking it was like they had a meeting, a set date, like, oh, at noontime we will meet on the field of battle. Like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
remember that in Braveheart when they were going against Scotland?
Yeah, but
They
there
line
were
up at the same time. They meet,
but
and
there
then
was,
they send one horseman, and one horseman into the middle to talk.
but there were no firearms back then. Same thing with the Roman Empire. They marched tightly together, but they had spears and shields and swords. Like
Yeah.
there was no firearms. But I mean, the Continental Army, what I would have done was I would have used trees as a fortress. I would have put men in the forests, not out in the open field, but put them in the forest behind big trees, even up in the trees, and have them fire from all different directions at the British. That I would have done that. Forget about marching out in the open field. Screw that. And just ambush them with a barrage of musket fire from the trees. And the trees would be their protection. If I could only send a message back in time.
I know.
And then another sneaky thing that the Redcoats did is they would march into a Continental Army camp at night and use bayonets to stick them with, and not use any firearms. They would sneak up on, Continental soldiers that were sleeping.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty underhanded. And then finally, what the spies should have done was relay the information that the British were going to do that, and then have the Continental Army sleep in the daytime and be up all night, but not in their tents. Have them be out in the woods waiting for the British. Once again, use the woods as a fortress. Use the trees as a fortress, and then as the British snuck into camp at night, open fire.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, now who was the traitor? Benedict Arnold, right?
Yeah, that bastard. Fucking guy.
He's the traitor. Anyway, I digress tremendously, but it is almost time for you to
Go
depart.
to the gym.
Go.
Oh, the fucking Giants are ahead now.
Man.
2-1.
It's got to be who. I wonder who the Yankee has pitching. I hope it's not
For
that.
God's sakes.
Hope it's not that Nestor Cortez.
I don't like him. I don't like Nestor Cortez.
I think he
They
sucks.
call him Nasty Nestor. Well, fuck you, Meredith.
He sucks.
Yeah, he ain't fucking nasty. He sucks.
He sucks.
The only thing he does it's positive about him is his shoes. He has an excellent wardrobe of stylish shoes, pitching shoes that nobody else wears.
Oh, big deal. I heard they might trade him.
I hope so. Get the fucking rid of him. Good God. They let Michael King go, but they kept Nestor. Michael King's on what, the Padres now?
Yeah.
God damn it.
That young guy was a really promising pitcher.
I know.
Nestor Cortez. Get rid of him.
Nestor.
Sucks. Nasty.
Nestor's always injured.
That means he's old. He's another loser.
What's the Glue Factory? Yeah.
Yeah, send him to the glue factory.
Yeah.
Arr! It
All right.
It was a pleasure as always.
See you later.
See you later. All right. Let's see what we're gonna do now. Let's get back to where I left off. Dun, dun, dun.
There's this TikTok trend of women walking around on the street holding up signs saying, "I'm looking for a husband." And as you can see, it draws a lot of attention. These videos get millions of views. I guess because it's something of a novelty to see a woman publicly admitting that she wants a husband. And maybe this is progress, it's pushing back against the feminist narrative that women don't need a man, they're fine on their own. It's good for women to be independent, all that sexist nonsense. But I'm afraid I'm not going to be taking you on a journey of optimism today. This whole thing makes me suspicious and cynical. Watch how the passengers of this airplane respond to this woman's announcement.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Carolina Gates. I'm looking for the rich husband. My seat is 2A. Please join me.
This is my question. Are we really making progress if we've got women saying, "I need a man, I need a husband, I want somebody to marry me," if it's always within the realm of, "I'm looking for a man to do things for me, to make my life easier"? She specifically stated that she wants a rich husband. Is this a return to traditional femininity, or are these women just sugar babies masking their intentions by calling it marriage? And even if it's not about money, I am still deeply troubled by any paradigm of relationships where a woman approaches her dynamics with a man as though he is simply a tool to make her life easier rather than a fellow human being worthy of dignity and respect.
I need a husband. Here's the thing. I am a strong, independent woman, all right? But I am also very small, very weak, and have the stamina of a 90-year-old woman. I need a husband for practical purposes. I need a husband to help me move furniture and build a garden bed and use a saw. I understand how to use a saw, but they scare me. I don't need a sugar daddy. I need a sugar mechanic. I need someone to reach the things that are high up.
All right, let me stop you right there. This isn't cutesy. It isn't fun. It's fucking dehumanizing. It's sexist. You can imagine the outrage that would swell up if we had men on TikTok saying, I need a wife to help me with practical things so she can clean my house and sew my clothes. This is why I'm not a fan of this, I'm looking for a husband trend. On the surface, it might sound traditional and look feminine, but when these women say, I'm looking for a husband, all I hear is, I'm looking for a mechanic, I'm looking for a wallet, I'm looking for a sugar daddy who can just do all the difficult parts of life for me so I can relax. That perspective, it's just fucked up. Here's a question. Wouldn't it be interesting if instead of walking around the streets with a sign that says, I'm looking for a husband, instead those signs said, I'm looking to be somebody's wife. And I'm not the only person who thinks so. You might think, well, that's a meaningless difference. Those two things mean the same thing. No, they don't.
What is the difference between a woman that wants to be a wife versus a woman that just wants a husband?
Oh, you know what? I think most of us are bred to just want a husband. Whereas to be groomed and trained to be a wife means to understand how to respect masculine energy, how to truly be inside of your feminine, which means trusting the leadership of your partner. I think a beautiful opportunity for us to empower that man and ride through the storms. I feel like we live in a weak generation where things get hard and people immediately are like, oh, I quit. This is too hard. And that's it's never going to hinder you the result you want. If you keep quitting, it's to be groomed as a wife means it's compassion. It's longevity. That's where marriage starts. When you get married, you say, I do, it starts. Whereas other people, it's when you get married, I made it. No, you didn't make it. You hate that man. You hate that woman. Y'all can't stand each other. You don't care enough to not disrespect each other or call each other out of your own name. You don't care enough to not want to sleep on opposite sides of the bed when there's a problem. You don't care enough to have the hard conversation so that you can move together more powerfully. That's just to have a husband. But when you want to be a wife, things are different.
She's right. To talk about wanting a husband is to focus exclusively on receiving something. The theme is still women wanting stuff, wanting men to take care of them. To frame marriage instead as I want to be somebody's wife is very different. I'm going to explain more about that in a moment, but I want to take a second to talk about the Hero Circle. These are online men's discussions groups that I and a team of my facilitators run. We have 7 groups now running and they're bringing huge benefit to the members. In fact, I thought it might be useful to hear from one of them directly.
I benefit from the sharing of other people because I emotionally resonate with the struggles or the challenges or the issues that they're going through. It gives me a good sensitivity in how I relate to people in my own life. And I think that's building that emotional capacity and building my ability to form a stronger relationship with my partner, but also other important people in my life. The cost is also more reasonable as compared to traditional one-to-one therapy. And I would highly recommend it, especially if you are moving into a new stage in your life, whether deepening a relationship with your partner or you are actively figuring out certain things in your family life, how you relate to your parents and things like that. It is, I think, a very useful forum for you to share those experiences and also get either confirmation or different perspectives on what you're facing, which can actually impact how you act in your everyday life to a great degree. Certainly helped me.
I've spent 2 hours with him every single week for over a year. The bond that you develop sharing your life with a bunch of guys in this format is so strong. If you want to find out more, click on the website and you can sign up for a free consultation. Find out if this is right for you. I'm even personally running a free trial. Spots are limited, but you can sign up to that below. Okay, back to why I want a husband and I want to be somebody's wife are very different things. To say I want to be somebody's wife is an expression expression of giving, of generosity, of wanting to be an equal partner and contribute to a relationship. The terms husband and wife, when you say them, it conjures up feelings of duty, of obligation, of responsibility. This goes both ways for men and for women, and it is fine for a woman to say, I want a husband, and to have those expectations that he's going to fulfill those husband duties. But if you are looking for a man to protect and to provide, it's only reasonable to have those expectations if you are prepared to do your part. You need to be showing that same level of devotion to your man. That's what a healthy dynamic looks like.
This is what I look for in my future husband. A man who wants a relationship, who wants a family. A deal breaker is an atheist. I'm looking for a masculine man, a traditional man. What I have to offer are the 3 C's: cook, clean, and conceive. I am ready to devote myself to my husband and my kids, and to love them and take care of them with my entire heart.
I mean, I'm an atheist, but apart from that, this woman gets it. Reciprocity is the foundation for a healthy relationship. Men and women helping each other, supporting each other, using their femininity and masculinity to contribute to that relationship. That benefits both of them as individuals and any children born to that family. It's like this woman said, when you get married, that's when you start. So many
Conceive, yeah, that's when the man's life is done. That's when the woman has complete power and control. I'll pass on the conceive. You see the big smile, the big grimace she had when she said conceive. Yeah, no. That's when your life is over, because that's what society and the law allows to take place.
Many modern women have this image that when they get married, that's it. You know, they've made it. That's when they can start to relax. It's the end of all of their problems. And, you know, you can't really blame them. That's kind of the propaganda they've been filled with in Hollywood and Disney. Since they were kids, they've been fed this idea that all of their struggles are going to end when they finally get married. You combine that with the current cultural push, you know, that completely dehumanizes men and judges their value based on what they contribute towards a woman's life, then it's no wonder this current generation is expecting that the man is just going to do everything for them. You know, of course, marriage seems like, you know, a really enticing idea. It's an attractive story. It's easy to sell to women. No more struggles, no more problems. As a story, that's certainly more marketable. You're able to sell that to women a lot more than telling her, you know, when you start marriage, that's when your obligations and your responsibilities kick in. That's when you need to struggle with your personal demons and become the best possible self. That's when you need to serve your husband and take care of your children the same way that he's taking care of you. Marriage is when the real work starts. Yeah, I mean, somehow I don't think that story hits that female fantasy in quite the same way. But it's a missed opportunity because in truth, being respected as an equal partner in a relationship, loving somebody, being devoted to them, contributing your energy in a way that's meaningful to you both, that is infinitely more satisfying as a human experience than being a sugar baby. Men, you know this, right? Like if you're offered 2 jobs and one of them, they require nothing of you. You can be lazy, you can goof off, you don't have to use your mind or any of your talents and you still get paid. And the other, you're respected, you're challenged, you're engaged and interested in the work. Obviously, that one is more satisfying. You feel more like a complete person actually doing something meaningful with your life. It is not a satisfying experience as a man to have everything handed to you, to have your laziness be tolerated. That's not what we want. We want to be challenged. We want to be inspired. We want to engage with life. But then what the hell is going on with modern women? What bullshit have they been told that makes them think that the gold-digging sugar baby lifestyle is going to bring them any happiness? Because I don't believe that women are some exception to the rule, that men are just so fundamentally different. Nobody wants their brain to atrophy. All humans, regardless of gender, we want to bring forth our innate skills, our talents, our abilities. We want them to be seen, received, appreciated. Women who are in happy, functioning relationships, they enjoy contributing their talents, their feminine skills to their man, to that relationship. It is a satisfying experience to them. But for some fucking reason, women have bought into the idea that this is somehow demeaning, that supporting and being devoted to the man that you love is somehow beneath them. I feel genuinely sorry for all of the sincerely ambitious women out there who have a lot to offer, who have fallen victim to this myth that says that it is going to be enjoyable for them to just live like a queen and be served by men. I actually have serious doubts about the mental health of any woman who could enjoy that dynamic. How could you feel comfortable being in a relationship where the distribution of responsibilities is not equal? Why isn't her conscience just screaming inside her brain, my husband does more for me than I do for him? How can she be okay with this? Doesn't she notice the blatant sexism? How can she justify this? And like I said, on a practical level, she's missing out. There is an experience of femininity that she won't get to unlock because only by being a dutiful, loving, supportive wife can she access that. You men out there who are husbands and fathers, you know what I'm talking about. There was a part of your masculinity that became unlocked when you took responsibility for that relationship, when you took that responsibility for your family. A lot of men say, I can't wait to be a husband, I can't wait to be a father, because they...
No, you're a father, you gotta work yourself to death and drop dead way before the wife, and she'll collect on your life insurance policy. What are you gonna do? You're gonna bust your ass working 2 jobs? You're gonna bust your ass working 2 jobs, right, until you drop dead? I don't think that's a good deal. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, here's a good one. Yeah.
They need to start.
Hi guys. When you dive deep into the core of human evolutionary psychology like I do, you start to uncover some very uncomfortable truths that are hard to ignore. At the most fundamental level, female love is utilitarian, rooted in the cold hard truth about survival. When you strip human relationships down to their biological essence, women prioritize their own well-being and that of their children, often above the man, unless he remains a crucial factor for their survival. Now, this is a very comfortable thought, but it's a reality that's grounded in our evolutionary past. There's a reason why men have been labeled the disposable sex. Throughout history, in the brutal calculus of survival and warfare, men were the expendable frontliners. If the fighting age men of a tribe were lost in battle, the surviving women and children's best chance at survival was to integrate with the victors, even marrying the men who defeated their own. This stark reality underpins a ruthless realism where behaviors driven by survival needs take precedence over everything else. The process of pair bonding triggered by sex feels like love, intimacy, and commitment, but at its core, the purpose of these emotions is purely utilitarian as well, to keep the man invested, especially during the vulnerable months of pregnancy, and the subsequent need for the protection and resources for the offspring. A man's role, while crucial for fertilization, is biologically seen as more replaceable. From a reproductive standpoint, once fertilization occurs, the man's direct biological involvement in the process is complete. This perspective gains further depth with the parental investment theory by evolutionary psychologist Robert Trivers in 1972. It highlights the significant investment and risk taken by females during reproduction, that risk being her very own life, and how it leads to inherently different reproductive strategies between men and women. This imbalance not only shapes how a woman views her relationship with her offspring over the man, but also dictates the relationship dynamics where a man's value is closely tied to his utility. This This instinct and behavior, selected over thousands and thousands of years of evolution, manifests every single chance it gets. Men who no longer offer value to a woman or instead becomes a liability to her very quickly realize that they cannot be loved or cared for unconditionally. And I don't say this to put women down. I want to be very clear here. It's just the stark reality of our relationship dynamics. Even on a societal level, it's the men who live on the dangerous outskirts. From the wild nature to an unforgiving battlefield, men are the shields that protect the women and children. And a shield is only good as long as it works, apart from being easy to replace. As we start to view relationships in the context of their evolutionary and biological foundations, our emotional and societal understanding of concepts like love, romance, and commitment begin to look real fragile. Looking past the surface, you realize the utilitarian nature of female love and the replaceable aspect of a man's role in reproduction. Everything I've just described comes from the deepest understanding of psychology. Recognizing these dynamics doesn't diminish the complexity of our relationships, but it instead adds a layer of realism to how we interpret our interactions. Understanding this can help you navigate your dating life with a clearer perspective on the dynamics that are at play. So with that being said, until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Just one use.
Blow it out of your ass. Blow it out of your ass, chickie poo. The only thing a man has to do in life is die and pay taxes. That's the only thing a man is obligated to do, is to die and pay taxes. Look at this slut. She looks like a whore. Look at this. Talk about a cheap looking broad.
How girls are like, oh, I've gotten every single guy I've ever wanted. Like they're bragging about it or something. This is how delusional I am. This is how I thought it works, you know? I'm like, well, duh, you're a girl. Don't we just get everything we ever wanted? Like that's what's going on in my brain. Because since I was little, I'm like, I thought women just get the pick of the litter. You know, I just thought like we get to, I always got it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Conceptually, we understand that women are born into unbelievable privilege, but as men, we have difficulty really feeling what that must be like. To not be measured by your wallet, to not have to constantly prove yourself, to not have your value tied to how much you do for others, to just exist as a woman. And that's enough. You have an innate value that everybody agrees just makes you really special. When a young woman enters the dating market in her late teens and early 20s, she hasn't done anything remarkable, and yet she's treated as though she's like a celebrity. The amount of attention, praise, and compliments that she gets teaches her that she must be this extraordinarily valuable person. Have you ever stopped to consider what impact that is going to have on the psyche of a woman? To be treated as so valuable, to be given this extraordinary privilege, but to know deep down that you have done nothing to deserve it. Believe me, it messes with their heads, and the result is not pretty.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but you absolutely can stay delusional forever if you want to. I support it. If you want to just be 24/7 Delulu, I'm with you. Who are we hurting? Ourselves, but we do that anyway, so what's one more thing, you know? I mean, it's a happier place, too. Reality has no place in my world, so.
I want you to consider for a moment the disparity of effort between men and women in order to reach their peak value. In order for her to be attractive to men, she doesn't really need to put in that much effort.
All men want the same thing. Men just want a nice, sweet, supportive woman. You don't even have to be that beautiful. And women can make themselves more beautiful. Like, don't be fat, like go to the gym. It's not that difficult. Eat healthy, not that difficult. You know, you can put a little bit of makeup on, not too much. Men just want a supportive, kind, sweet woman. He's gonna go out there, take on the world, do all these difficult things, and he just wants to go home and know that there's peace, there's food on the table, the house is clean. It's really not that difficult.
She's right.
Why does a man have to take on the world? What the hell is-
What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? If you're checking your phone, stop that. Instead, try this technique from the mind.
Women don't have to do that much. It takes very little effort to just be kind, be young, don't be fat. And if you do that, thousands of men will consider you a highly desirable woman. Men's standards for women are pretty basic. If only women's standards were so simple.
Show me your tits, show me your face, show me your profile, your side profile, show me your body, top to bottom, do a 360. Those are the requirements for you to come for me. Yeah, those are the requirements for you to come for me. Okay, I'm not. You think I'm joking? It's the actual.
Yeah,
girl does not bring much to the table. She really is not. You could tell that under all the cosmetics and the nice hair, she is average looking. She is not primo, where she could be that nitpicky and demanding. No way.
No, you're not joking. I know that's the truth. The disparity of effort is just insane. We've established that all a woman needs to do is be young, not fat, and kind, and that makes her attractive, but consider all the things that a man has to do. Looks-wise, he has it much harder than women because he has to be taller than her. That sucks because obviously he has no control over that. And it's not enough for him to just not be fat because women don't find excessively skinny guys very attractive, so he needs to have some muscle. So diet's not going to cut it like it does for women. He's going to need to go to the gym, he's going to need to exercise. So even just based on appearances, men are putting in more effort. But that's only the beginning of it because personality-wise, men have to put in way more effort. Just being kind might cut it for a woman, but for a man, he needs to be kind, but kind in a very specific way. Women require a man's personality to be dynamic, to be sensitive when appropriate, to be outgoing when necessary, to be an arsehole sometimes. For a woman to find a man's personality attractive, he needs to be emotionally competent in so many different areas and be able to change quickly based on her whims. He's got to be ambitious, successful, wealthy. He's got to be funny, outgoing, intelligent. And this is not anecdotal. This is what the research shows.
The book is based on a survey where men and women were asked if they got 80% of everything they want in their ideal mate, would they be happy with that? And women said, no, that's settling. And men said, 80%, I'd be thrilled. That's a catch. And so
80% of the women you surveyed is settling? What are women too picky about here?
Well, I'll tell you, men and women were asked what would be a deal breaker for going on a second date. And men named 3 things. They said she has to be cute enough. She doesn't have to look like Angelina Jolie. She just has to be cute enough. She has to be warm and kind. And she has to be interesting to talk to. Those seem like really valid criteria.
Ding, 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 ding. Pretty simple.
Right. Okay, reasonable, right? The women came back with 300 things that would rule out a guy for a second date. And we're talking about like another 2 hours and maybe a free dinner. And they...
All right. I know I sound redundant because I always say this. What do they bring to the table that they could be that demanding and nitpicky?
Wouldn't do it. And there were things like he wore a brown belt with black shoes.
For a woman to be kind, thin, and young takes very little effort. For a man to be ripped, intelligent, wealthy, emotionally, and socially competent, all these things that women consider the bare minimum, takes 10 times more effort. And that right there is the insane privilege that women have. To be considered so valuable when they've done so little to deserve that status, it messes with their heads. How could it not? To get so much attention, so much praise, to have everything gifted to you so easily, constantly told that you're amazing, you're incredible, you're special. When you have men constantly tripping over themselves to serve you, to treat you like royalty, is it any surprise that these women become completely delusional and think they are entitled to be treated like queens?
I have proof that if he wanted to, he would. I don't even know this guy. This guy has been sending me Goodnight Queen every single night since May. Every single night. Goodnight Queen, Goodnight Queen. I'm really attached to it now. Sometimes if I don't get a Goodnight Queen, it like hurts my feelings. Sometimes I say goodnight back. sometimes. Good night, queen. Good night, queen. But this has lasted longer than some of my relationships. I feel like everyone deserves to be told good night, queen every single night for the rest of their life. And I love this. We're almost at 200.
Let me ask you, does she seem embarrassed or like she's feeling guilty about how one-sided this exchange is? No, she feels entitled to it. Let that sink in. This is normal to her. I'm telling you, this kind of undeserved value, this unearned privilege, it fucks with your perception of yourself and of reality, and you become delusional. So what would be the male equivalent? Think about the stereotype of like the privileged trust fund kid. He's instantly promoted to the top of his dad's company. So he has all this unearned success and status. And think about how obnoxious that guy is when he treats everybody underneath him like shit and is constantly bragging about his wealth. Men like that are completely insufferable, but thankfully they're very rare. There's not that many men who are born into that kind of privilege. So the good news is that that brand of delusional narcissism isn't very common. It's not widespread. But what is common is the privilege enjoyed by hundreds of millions of young women across the West and all of the delusional, narcissistic attitudes that come along with that.
How old are you?
28.
Let's say I wanted to take you out. How much do you expect me to spend on a first date?
Depends where we're going.
What's your expectation though?
I don't really have any.
So I could hit you up and say, hey, let's go to Burger King and get slushy?
No. I mean, at least like, you know, nice 5-star type of restaurant, and then depending on how it goes, depending how I like you, and that all kind of goes with me even saying yes for a first actual date. So that takes a toll.
So if she doesn't want to date the guy or see the guy again, the man just lost a reasonable amount of money on this 5-star restaurant, which might include wine, drinks. Interesting. That doesn't sound like a sound investment to me.
Okay. So 5-star restaurant in Miami, how much is that gonna range?
Depends how many drinks you'll be ordering.
Average.
Anywhere from 300 to 800 maybe. Jumpstart, yeah.
So realistically, you expect a man to spend $800 on a first date?
Yeah.
Has it happened before?
Yeah.
$300 to $800.
This girl, this fat average looking girl expects a man to spend that much money on the first date. Incredible. The entitlement, incredible. You know, it's possible that men gave them this ego and this sense of entitlement and power by constantly giving them validation nonstop. Interesting.
For a date that lasts probably 2 hours. Let's do some maths. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average hourly wage of United States citizens as of December 2020 is $29.81. Let's round up to $30. It means for the average man, if he wants to go on a date with her, the expectation is that he should work between 10 and 26 hours for the privilege of spending 2 hours with her. This is one of 3 ways that women deal with all this unearned praise and attention. They delude themselves into thinking that somehow they deserve it. How do they justify that belief? Well, they're not going to point to any specific personality trait that they have, any particular achievements or talents. No, they're just going to include in a sort of vague sense that there's something innately special about them. This is a particularly ugly kind of delusion, because you know what happens when you believe yourself to be innately special is that very quickly you start to treat everybody else around you like scum. When you don't need to provide any evidence or justification for why you're so valuable, you very quickly develop a superiority complex.
I don't mean to be sexist, and I don't want to say any sexist statements, but I do think that women are better in every way.
It's like their minds cannot deal with the insane privilege that they have been born into and the fact that they don't deserve it. And so they backwards rationalize their position. They tell themselves that innately they are just special and incredible, valuable creatures, are lowly and disgusting.
Well, there you go. The feminist movement, you have succeeded in sabotaging normal heterosexual relationships between men and women. You've done it. You sabotaged it.
Therefore, it's not really privilege, it's just the natural order.
What do you think the issue is with men nowadays?
Men are shitheads.
The one thing I have is every man I've ever been with has cheated on me. Every man has been a selfish piece of shit. And honest. Yeah,
I have an issue with men when they breathe, talk, blink, eat, and that's all.
Yeah.
So delusional narcissism and disgusting displays of sexism is one of the ways that women deal with their unearned privilege. But what about those women who don't delude themselves into thinking that they are better than men, but they are still aware that society considers them much more valuable? How does she respond? Well, typically with guilt and insecurity, and that's a pretty understandable response. Here's all this praise, all this attention, all these compliments. She's thinking, I'm not special, I don't deserve this. It creates this huge fissure in her self-esteem as she thinks, I can't possibly live up to all of these expectations. For a woman like this, it is a huge relief when they finally meet a man who isn't intimidated by her, who doesn't treat her like a queen, who doesn't put her up on a pedestal. When he treats her like a normal human being or is even rude to her, if she has low self-esteem or a lot of insecurities, his attitude can be a relief to her.
Am I toxic, or does anyone else find it extremely attractive when a guy, instead of calling you a cute name like babe, sweetheart, or whatever, calls you like a mean name? Like dummy or loser. But not in like a mean way, in like a flirty, like cute way. Like, what are you doing, loser? Like instant fold.
You see, this situation, this isn't much better. Where is the happy middle ground? Can we have some women who are not at the extremes, who are not self-centered narcissists who believe that they are perfect goddesses and that men exist just to serve them, but are also not at the other extreme, that they're lowly creatures crippled by insecurity and their self-esteem just crashes because of this ongoing sense of imposter syndrome? I don't want to deny women their privilege because it's impossible. It's biological. Men value women who are of childbearing age, who seem like they're going to be good, socially engineered. Not going to change that. Women will always have a biological privilege in that regard. But where is the middle ground? What is the healthy response for a woman who is aware of her privilege, who doesn't let it delude her into thinking that she's special, but doesn't cripple her with insecurity either? If she is in touch with reality, what should her emotional response be? And what should you look out for the woman who understands this? I give the answer to that question in the full.
Interesting. Okay, we're going to do some health related.
Should probably use something healthy like vegetable oil, right? Because you could see these healthy vegetables here, and you can see this one is Clover Valley, so it's probably a beautiful farm of rolling hills and clover where they make this vegetable oil, and it's pure vegetable oil. It's actually considered heart healthy on the label. There's just a little bit of saturated fat in here. I think it's 2 grams. There's no sugar, there's no trans fats, and there's no gluten. And so this is pretty much the best oil you should use to deep fry your food. And I hope you know that I am completely and utterly sarcastic today. We're going to talk about seed oils right here. And then I'm going to show you what I think you should do regarding the deep fried oils. Seed oils are called polyunsaturated fatty acids. Poly meaning many, unsaturated mean a type of oil that it's very, very fragile and unstable. Now, the first thing you need to know is that when they talk about vegetable oils, they're really talking about seed oils. I know they have pictures of vegetables, but this is not where they're getting the oil from. It comes from corn, soy, canola, things like that. They're considered one part of the ultra-processed food category, which they use industrial processing, where they're heating, adding hexane, which is a solvent that's in gasoline. And so they go through this incredible refining process where you end up with this very refined, empty oil. And one of the reasons they do this is so it can sit on the shelf for a long period of time. We consume like 25 to 30% of our calories with this right here. Yeah, incredible. You start reading the ingredients and it's in almost everything. And when you fry foods in these oils, you're basically frying other ultra-processed ingredients in this ultra-processed ingredient. For example, let's say you have a donut, right, which is pure ultra-processed food, and you're going to deep fry it in the seed oil. You're going to heat a starch or sugar with a fat. That's going to create really sticky proteins in our bodies. It's called glycation, and that sticky protein is going to gunk everything up and make it dysfunctional. And let's say, for example, we're going to deep fry some chicken, right? We're not just going to deep fry chicken. We have to coat the chicken with an ultra-processed ingredient, maybe with a starch, right? So now we're combining heat with fat, with protein. That's, again, going to create this sticky substance that's going to kind of clog everything up. Now, when you go to a fast food restaurant, they don't just use this oil once. They use it like 100 times. And they're going to keep reheating it and reheating it and reheating it day after day, cooking your food. And the more they heat it, the more toxic the food is. And a couple more things I want to bring up about seed oils before I move on. But seed oils were never meant to be consumed, okay? Even like in 1865, when they kind of found a process to develop these seed oils, it wasn't meant for human consumption, okay? These polyunsaturated fatty acids are meant to support our membranes of our cells. Now, the membranes are around our cells. Also, if you look inside the cell, you have all these little things that do the work. Each thing has a bag around it, which is a membrane. They allow things to communicate back and forth, but you also have the mitochondria in here. And the mitochondria is really important because nearly every disease relates to dysfunctional mitochondria. And the seed oils can actually get into the membranes and replace the membranes. And so if you're replacing the membranes with this material, it's not good. So I'm studying a book on membranes right here, Basic Principle of Membrane Technology. It's fascinating because it goes into the biochemistry of membranes and how amazing they are. And also in this book right here, The Ancestral Diet Revolution, How Vegetable Oils and Processed Foods Destroy Our Health and How to Recover. Here's a picture of a kid who's smoking, right? Well, the oxidative stress that occurs with smoking kind of poisons us for about 6 months to a year after quitting. But when we consume the seed oils, right, it's going to poison us for about 3 years after just one serving in cooking oil. Yeah, so there's some fascinating data. So these oils were never meant for fuel like other fats. And the biggest damaging effect from these seed oils is what they do to your mitochondria. And this is why seed oils lead to insulin resistance. Of course, from there, you have a fatty liver, obesity, heart disease, increase your risk for cancer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anytime you add heat to seed oils, and by the way, they're already heated when you get them, you create more toxicity. And they actually give off a lot of byproducts that creates a lot of, it's called oxidation. You can look at oxidation like rusting out something, but the seed oils are not being burned up as fuel in the body. So they kind of get lodged and stored in the body, and they just gunk up everything. Now let's look at the oils that you could use if you wanted to deep fry something. So this graph represents something called the peroxidation. That's that in the process of being oxidized stage. Soybean is the highest, right? So it creates a lot of problems. And then we have corn oil. Then we have sunflower oil, and then canola. And then we have olive, beef tallow, and coconut. So if you wanted to deep fry something, okay, you have options. You have avocado oil, you have coconut oil, you have palm oil, you have olive oil, then you have tallow, okay, and then you have butter or ghee. So you could potentially use any one of those oils. Now, here's the problem. You probably shouldn't be deep frying any food at high heat because no matter what oil that you use, high heat is going to create problems. Avocado oil, if you get it really refined, it's going to create more damage. If you get it like healthier where actually the color of it's green and it's cold processed, you probably should just put it on your salad and not use it with heat. But avocado oil does have higher amounts of monounsaturated, which is going to oxidize less. Just like olive oil, which is high in monounsaturated fats, you get a lot of the protective factors as well.
Same with coconut oil and palm oil, but those may smoke a lot more when heating.
So maybe like a moderate heat or maybe a stir fry or even pan fried, that would be a lot better. And then you get to tallow, beef fat, because that's going to be much better for you. You can also use ghee, which is a little bit better than butter if you're cooking it to higher heat. But with butter, especially with like eggs and things or stir frying vegetables, you're not going to heat it to the point where it's so hot that you're going to get smoking. And I think you're going to enjoy the flavor from just using butter. I think pan frying is going to be much better. If you can do an air fryer, that would be awesome because you don't have to use any oils. And then, of course, you have stir frying. That's a good one, too. Now, since I did mention this deep fried chicken, I know you're probably hungry right now and you're probably thinking about it. So I put that recipe up right here. Check it out.
Excellent, Dr. Eric Berg. And we're going to finish off with Dr. Eric Berg about CMOS.
Kelp and sea moss are types of seaweed, which are basically plants that can grow underneath the water. And when you look at sea moss versus sea kelp, they're fairly similar in what's in them as far as overall nutrition content. People are using sea moss on their skin to take it internally to help their digestive system, to help their inflammation. And people are getting all sorts of benefits from this, from increasing their testosterone, increasing their overall health. Let me first state that sea moss has a number of things that people talk about. It has amino acids, that's a type of protein. It has fiber, it has vitamins, it has minerals, fatty acids, phytonutrients, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Now, of course, if you look at the protein, the amino acids, it doesn't compare to a steak or animal protein. What does stand out with sea moss and other types of sea kelp is the minerals, especially the trace minerals. Trace minerals are those minerals that are needed in very, very small amounts, but are very, very necessary. And you're not going to find a lot of these trace minerals in foods unless you're close to the ocean. Now, what is the purpose of trace minerals anyway? Well, one of the purposes for human health for trace minerals is that they help to activate enzymes and certain other proteins that do the work of the body. For example, there is an enzyme that helps you convert from T4, the inactive version of the thyroid hormone, to T3, the active form of the thyroid hormone. And that enzyme is dependent on selenium. Well, guess what? Where are you going to get selenium? You can get it in Brazil nuts, but it's not necessarily in other nuts of any significant amount. And, what do we have to eat? We have to eat shellfish or seafood or seaweed or like sea moss to get this selenium. Selenium not only helps you with the thyroid, selenium is necessary for certain proteins to help you detoxify mercury. Selenium is necessary for your immune system, okay? Like if you don't have enough selenium, you cannot create the T helper cells. T helper cells are like the general of the army for your immune system. They help control and coordinate all the other immune cells in the attack against viruses and cancer and any other type of pathogenic invasion. And so the problem is it's hard to get these trace minerals, especially selenium, from food unless you eat something from the sea. Iodine is also necessary for the thyroid. And so without iodine, you can't make the thyroid hormones. But iodine is also really, really important to help regulate estrogen. And this is why when women are deficient in iodine, they might get breast cancer or ovarian cysts. Japanese women are much less at risk of getting breast cancer. And I really think it's because the Japanese as a culture consumes 25 times more iodine than the US. So I really think a lot of the benefits from sea moss are coming because finally the person is being satisfied with the trace minerals which they've been missing. Now, it is true that sea moss has carrageenan, and any seaweed that has red in it is going to have some carrageenan. There's a really big difference in eating carrageenan that is naturally in sea moss versus carrageenan that they add to your, almond milk, things like that. So sea moss and even sea kelp is a great product, not only to help get the trace minerals, which I think is the number one benefit, but also some of these other phytonutrients that create some health benefits that extend way beyond just your normal vitamins and minerals. Now, since we're on the topic of trace minerals, there's a lot more to be said about that. If you haven't seen this video, check it out.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Eric Berg. All right, well, that concludes this week's Sunday edition of Progressive Discussions Open Topic Talk. I thank you. I thank everybody for making this show happen, especially my co-host, the Commodore Jeff Sambello. And thank you, commentary from Gunnar Lingblom, unless that's an alias for somebody else. Let's see. And that's it. Take care. Enjoy whatever's left of this Sunday and have a safe and healthy upcoming week.